Shelby J, thank you for making some time to talk with me from Purple Current.
Oh, anytime.
And thank you also for visiting Minneapolis.
Yes.
I know that this is a place that's near and dear to your heart, but that doesn't make it any closer to North Carolina.
Yeah, it's my second home.
Well, welcome to your second home.
Thank
it's
you.
an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions about your release 10, which we've been loving. We've been playing a bunch of tracks off of it.
Thank you for that.
Oh, it's a lot of times folks come in and they say, oh, thanks for playing my music. And I always want to say, thank you for making music worth playing, because it makes my job easier when I go, oh, this is an incredible record, and I can pick through it and find so many jams that are just wonderful. So 10 does not sound like a debut record. 10 does not sound like a green record of somebody who's just stepping into the studio for the first time. You've been in the game for a long time, and you've paid your dues for a long time.
Yes, Lord.
How do you sort of navigate both being, in some ways, a new artist as a recording artist, and then in some ways being this, lettered veteran in the scene who's played with the greats? Like, how do you navigate between those two?
There's a balance there, and I like to tell people everything that I did, and Prince even talked to me about this. He was like, when I met him, he was like, where you been? He heard me sing. I said, I've been working. I've been preparing for this moment. That's what you do. And I've always loved singing, and grew up in the church singing, and, sang in school and sang with my mom and my sisters. And I just love performing. So as I continue to grow and perform with different people, D'Angelo, Anthony Hamilton, Mary J. Blige, just learning. So now that I'm on stage, even though this is my debut solo album, I'm so comfortable on the stage because I've done it for so long, and I've learned. Prince would say, when you get your band, I'm preparing you for that, and he was, hard on us, which was good, because now it takes you to another level. And when I communicate with my band, I go back to those lessons that I learned from Prince and D'Angelo and Anthony Hamilton and Larry Graham, all those little nuggets that I apply to now my solo project. So it's like a smooth transition, but I'm just having fun now. Like, I feel like I have a song called It's My Time. And I believe that fundamentally, you're always where you're supposed to be when you're supposed to be there. So everything that happens, you might, people would say after I was like 25, 26 years old, oh, you've never made a record, or you might as well give it up. And I'm like, well, to me, music doesn't have an expiration date, and neither do your dreams. They only stop when you stop going after them and stop believing in them. So for me, I just love performing. I love doing music. So I kept doing it. I did it when I was making $50 a night singing for fun, because I loved it so much. It wasn't about what I was getting. It was about the fact that I was put here for this, and this is what I'm supposed to do. So now that I'm in this time and space, after all of the stuff I've learned, I can apply that now to the Shelby Show and the Shelby J Everywhere tour, and everything I want to do in the rest of 2018, 2019, 2020, and on. I can just draw back from that. I hear Prince in my head all the time. Even in soundcheck today, I had a moment where I heard something, and I was like, it went straight back to a Prince lesson of, wait a minute, no. Change that chord, see how that sounds. Like, trust yourself, trust what you hear if it doesn't sound right. And so we did it, we changed the chord, and it worked. And those are the kind of things you pick up from working with the best. And you work with the best, it makes you better. So I'm excited about, Shelby and the album and everything I'm gonna be doing in the future,
You exude so much confidence and security.
Thanks.
Which I think has to do with having had a journey and knowing that things are going to be all right, even if they aren't all right at the time.
Yeah, because life, life happens. Life happens to me like everybody else. And the thing is, you keep people say, oh, you're so happy all the time. Oh, she's so happy. Happiness is a choice. And because bad things happen to you, or because things don't go the way, or things don't happen in the time that you want, you can still choose to be happy. You can still choose to have a positive attitude no matter what, no matter what. It's always a choice. So I'm like, if I have a choice and I can choose to be, mad, or I can choose to be happy, why in the world wouldn't I choose to be happy? So it's just a choice. Yeah.
In the record 10, you seem to be really frank about the fact that you have faced struggle and that there's no struggle without hustle.
Yeah.
And that comes through. And I was going back to some of your earlier work and listened to that incredible tune, North Carolina, with you and Anthony on it.
Yeah, Prince produced that and played every instrument on it.
Are you serious?
And he even played the tambourine on that. He's the only musician on that song. The only one.
I can't tell you how much of a head scratcher that is to me, because if there's one thing when I'm trying to extrapolate some differences in your music from Prince's music, which is easy to do because you are both incredible musicians who make different sounding music, you do sound earthier and more from the church tradition. Right?
Absolutely.
Not to say Prince wasn't without those impulses, but I hear it more front and center. And on that song, I would have guessed Anthony Hamilton or yourself. It did not sound like the work of a Minneapolis person. It sounded earthy and churchy.
We worked on it. I mean, we built the song together in the Studio A, and even when I was writing the song, and he said, and when I get to a place like writer's block, and I was working on a verse, and he said, dig deep, Shelby, talk about your truth, tell your truth. A songwriter's job is to tell their story, tell their experiences, tell your truth. Don't worry about if people are going to get it or how it's going to be how it's going to be perceived. It's your truth. So it's just that. And I was like, oh. And so then I kind of let go and stopped kind of thinking about, how would this sound? I just wrote my truth. I wrote about, being 7 years old and there being a Klan rally and people dying in my hometown and what that meant and what seeing that as a young girl meant and how that shaped how I viewed things. And just, I dug deep and I said, are you sure people are getting, he goes, write your truth. And we sat there and worked it out, and he worked on the drums, and I went back to, the Country Inn and Suites and came back the next day, and he had done the bass line and some other stuff on it, and then Anthony flew in and he added his stuff. I mean, it was really organic, but we built on it. It took us about 3.5, maybe 4 days to really complete it. And he didn't let me hear it. I went home, I was back in North Carolina, and he's like, I'm gonna send you something. He called me, I was gonna send you something. And I was like, okay. And I got it, and it was the finished version of the song. And I was like, oh man. And I'm so glad we did that. I mean, especially with him being gone now, that's a special song. I wrote all the lyrics. He produced the music, and I said, he helped me through it. And I said, I want to, split I need your publishing information. I'm registering the song. He goes, no.
That's for you.
And I said, no. I said, this is you helped me with this, and we did this together. And I wanted to show that it's something that we did together. I insisted, and he was like, okay. And so we have that. And he doesn't have a lot of co-writes with people, and but he's all up in that song, and I'm really proud of it.
Did you find that you had a while where it felt surreal to get advice and care and support from a person with as large of a reputation as Prince? You're talking about getting guided through writing a verse and saying, speak your... I want to pause and go, that lyric, it's hard to say. I love that lyric about the Klan because that's not normal. But that lyric gave so much texture to your childhood. Because you threw it in. You go, I grew up a tomboy. And then you say, and I remember being scared of hating the Klan. And you go, okay.
Yeah. And I didn't understand it. I couldn't process that at 7 years old. It was just too much. It's like, what? But yeah.
And Prince coaxed some of the courage out of you to share that. At first, were you going like, this is a voice I grew up with? At what point were you able to start interacting with the advice, with the collaboration, with the input, human to human?
When I was a Prince fan growing up, my sister Kim was the biggest Prince fan. I was into Michael Jackson, and I would have Michael Jackson posters up. She had more Prince posters all over her wall, everything. I mean, she was the one. So it was great when I got to introduce her to Prince. That was a great moment. But he was my brother. He was my boss at first. Yeah. And I always had people trying to tell me how to be around him. And I love the fact that I'm from the South, and I was raised by a loving mother, a loving father, a loving grandmother, a loving grandfather that taught me to always... My grandpa would say, Shelby, wherever you go, you're going to take yourself with you. So try to like yourself and try to be the kind of person that people are going to like, you know? And so when I got around Prince, I was just me. And, you know, people would tell me, oh, don't do this. Don't, you know, he's not going to like, I'm like, well, if I start switching up, that's a real slippery slope. Now, I'm not saying that you don't adjust and grow and evolve, but to just, you know, kind of change and be like, oh yeah, Prince, 1 + 1 is 7. You know, whatever you say, you know, it's like that's not real. And so I think he appreciated me being real, and we would go at it sometimes. I didn't always agree with him. Sure. He didn't always agree with me, and sometimes I'd be like, man, listen, you know, Prince, but that's a real relationship. That's what happens with brothers and sisters. That's what happens with husbands and wives. That's real. Yeah. You know, it's not always rainbows and stuff like that, but the love is there, and it grew from Boss through 2007 Super Bowl, 2007 being at the O2 Arena, being together every day, living in London for like 3.5 months. You know how like a relationship grows. It just naturally grows over time. And so that's what happened. It just naturally grew year after year after year. And when I look back now, when I go through those pictures, like in my computer and stuff, and I look 10 years and I'm like, man, that was this night, that was this night. And I never forgot who he was. You know, I never forgot how special he was and how grateful I needed to be. I never took it for granted, not ever. Grateful to be in his presence, learning from him, even when I didn't want to hear it, you know, even when it was like, okay, yeah, you're right. You know, that tough love, that real tough love. I appreciate that, but I never one time forgot how special a little girl from North Carolina. I'm like, I'm rolling with Prince, and like, thank you God for this opportunity. And I'm not going to take it for granted. I'm not going to, I want to appreciate it, because there are a lot of people that would want to be right here, right now, that will never get an opportunity for somebody to say, I'll help you, I'll elevate you, I'll shout your name out all over the globe so people know who you are. I'll teach you about staging. I'll teach you about wardrobe. I'll teach you about this. I'll give you all these nuggets. He didn't have to do any of that. Right. You know, he could have just been like, hey, get back there behind that monitor and sing and bye. And just, you know, but there was a relationship there, and he cared. So it evolved into that, but I'm thankful for it. And it's still growing, because even though he's not here physically, he's here spiritually. And I think about him every day. There's not a day that goes by that I don't. He comes to me in my dreams, and it's so weird, because some of the dreams I have, I don't want to wake up, because I know I'm like, oh God, I don't want to wake up. I know it's a dream, and he's here, and if I wake up, he's going to be gone. But he gives me advice, and a lot of the things that I'm figuring out now, some of the stuff, you ever have a person, they tell you something, you don't get it when they tell you, it takes time, and you go like, oh, I'm having a lot of those, like,
listen to me now, like, believe me later on.
Right. I'm like, oh, that's what, you know, I'm like, okay, all right, okay, Prince, I get it. So yeah, he was the bomb.
You're doing a 2-night stand at the Dakota, and this you were talking on your social media, this place is very near and dear to your heart, even more than Minneapolis. The Dakota is a special place for you.
Oh yeah, first time I came here was with Prince. We sat right up there. We finished rehearsal, and he's like, hey, come roll with me. We're going down this spot, you know, hear a band. I was like, okay. And I just, you know, you just roll. And we came to the Dakota, and we came right through that back door, went up those steps, sat at that table. He loved this place. He supported this place. He told me, he said, you're going to be playing here. Years later, he was like, yeah, you're going to be playing here. You know, you're going to be playing here. And I'm like, okay, you know, I hope so. That would be fantastic. I'd love to do that. That was before I had written any of the music that's on 10, you know. So tonight really feels like a full circle moment for me in many ways. Even though I've played here before, I played here with Liv and Judith, and I played here with some musicians from New York that played. But now the band that I'm playing with tonight, it's like my North Carolina family, and it's special for another reason, because my sister Lynn is my drummer, and now she's going to go with me everywhere. So this is kind of like my unit. This is the unit that you're going to see me with for a minute. Like it takes a minute to kind of put the pieces, like Prince would do, to put the pieces together, and then it's like, okay, now this is feeling good. This is flowing. It's when I come in here, I still look up at that table, and that's his table, and you know, he loved the place, I love the place, and I'm excited about playing here tonight.
I want to flip up and talk about another person that I assume you learned a fair amount from. You worked with D'Angelo for a time.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, from what I understand, D'Angelo, in his own way, has also been granting a lot of freedom to the folks that collaborate with him. So I know on the Voodoo tour, he's just said, just wear black for the first half of the show, wear white for the second half of the show, and be yourself. You've worked with so many incredible leaders. What stands out to you about some of the differences, some nuggets or gems that you would get from a Mary J. Blige or from a D'Angelo that you didn't get from a Prince?
Wow. Well, with D, wow, that was, 1999, 2000. I was the only girl in the band. And it was me and 12 guys. I got Pino Palladino over here. I got Questlove behind me. I got Jeff Lee Johnson killing the guitar. It was just, I got Anthony Hamilton singing backgrounds, which is how I got in the band in the first place. It was, I became like the mother, sister, watcher, advice giver, taker, carer of, with D, he's serious about his music, and people, sometimes he goes away for a minute and they're like, oh, I wish he was out doing tours and everything. But it's like, don't get it twisted, not for 1 minute. This man was born with a gift. He was born with an anointing, and you don't even pick that. That's just your anointing. And sometimes you have to even figure out how to make that practical for you, because it's a very powerful gift when you're given that. But I learned from him, be free as well. One of the things, we started in black. Next thing I know, he wanted a funkadelic kind of vibe. I had paint. I was like, I said, I got this paint. I was putting things on my face. And Anthony, we went out to a costume store. He had like a boa. I ended up in a big feather mask with leather and everything. And Dee was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get it. And we would just go out there and give it all we had. Now he was serious about the notes and about the harmony and the tone and everything and the music. And we would rehearse without him, just like P. The band would be tight. He'd separate the vocals to get the harmonies right and everything. He was super serious about making sure that people come and had a good time and enjoyed the music, but also enjoyed the show as well. And we put on quite a show.
You were with D'Angelo in 99?
In 2000. Yeah, I did the Voodoo tour.
Okay. That means that you performed the greatest single show I've ever seen in my entire life.
Where was that?
At the Orpheum.
Oh, yeah.
I've gotten to meet Jeff Lee Johnson. I've gotten to meet Questlove.
Oh, yeah.
I've never gotten to meet Pino Palladino. I'm a bass player myself, so he's like a hero. But that was the most incredible display. It was Amel LaRue, who I also sang with.
Oh, okay. I sang with Amel. I did background for her in 1996. That was actually like my first background singing, professional background singing job. Was they got a hit song called Tell Me, and they didn't have a band. So they put together a band in like 3 days, and we were like out on the road 4 days later singing Tell Me. And the Fugees were opening up before her because the score hadn't even come out yet, but they were all on the same label. So it was like Maxwell, the Fugees, George Clinton, and Groove Theory. And we did like a black college tour and stuff like that. So yeah. So Amel's like looking at me with D like, oh, she's with you, and we're still cool because when Prince was looking for opening acts, I called Amel, and she ended up being one of his opening acts for the Forum shows. So Prince was like, you're the glue. He would always tell me, he's like, Shelby, you're the glue. You're the one common denominator between us. You ever notice that? And I was like,
Well, you have you kind of worked with the cream of the crop in the R&B and beyond world.
I'm like, man, I'm so thankful. I'm super thankful.
But
I pinch myself. I do. I sometimes I'm like, wow,
they didn't hire you to be nice to you. They hired you because you add something to what they do as well. So
I appreciate that. And I always wanted to work even harder to get better. Even now, I'm still evolving. I'm still growing. I never get to a place where I'm like, okay, this is it. It's like, no, there's more to learn. There's more to soak up. There's just more, Yeah.
It's not everyone who gets to play with these elite leaders, but it's also not even everyone who does get to play with these elite leaders who can then step up on stage and carry it themselves. I've been in a lot of ensembles where you hear the best harmony singer, and when he or she steps up to take the lead, you
It's
go,
a mess.
or you just go, oh, you are best qualified to grab the third, and so I'm just going to tell you, I think you're endowed with something that makes you qualified in both situations. You do an incredible job leading your band, and you sound incredible. I've seen you perform more times than I knew, but I've also saw you at the Prince concert at XL Energy Center, not the Prince concert, but the Prince tribute concert.
Yeah.
What do you think made that transition relatively seamless for you from going in a support role, which is still very difficult, to carrying it?
Wow. I think that I started my first band in 2003 called Black Gypsy. I was in New York, singing at night in all the clubs, Groove, the Red Lion, the Village Underground, the Cafe Y. I was leading the open mic at Sylvia's. I was in front of the stage, having to hold a stage down for 4 hours a night. No rehearsals with the band. We would show up and we would figure it out, and we would just go off spirit and vibe, and you needed to know a gazillion songs. There were tourists coming from all over, and it's like, we're just gonna vibe, and you had to know the material, call out the notes and everything like that, the keys of the songs. So I did that. I cut my teeth. Prince was like, you cut your teeth. Like, that's what you do. You have to earn your stripes.
Right.
And I think the fact that I earned those stripes working, all those different clubs, doing weddings, bar mitzvahs, all that kind of stuff, loving to perform and realizing this is preparing me. It's not, oh, I'm just singing at a bar mitzvah. Yeah, it's a bar mitzvah, but I'm singing. So it didn't matter where I was doing it, I was getting to sing, and I'm singing what I love. And if it's 2 people there or 20 people there or 2,000 or at the Super Bowl, 200,000, I don't know, it was a lot of people there.
Right.
You always do your best, and you always give it everything you got, because you're not doing it for that. You're doing it because it's something I'm a vessel. So I can be a vessel playing Robin to Batman. That's why I told Prince, I'm like, I love being Robin.
Right.
Because Robin's in the sidecar. He's going to go everywhere Batman goes. He ain't got to do nothing but just sit there, like he's ready. But I can also be Batman because I've learned from Batman's. And so I can just jump into that role too. So I think just the seasoning, the seasoning, all those years of seasoning and all those different situations have prepared me for this. And I can still sing back. I did background for D at the Roots Picnic. I think it was 2016, and he called and he said, he just reached out, and I was like, wow, P had passed, and I said, I would absolutely, he goes, I know you're working on your solo, record and everything, but almost like, would I do it because of, and I'm like, it's singing to me. So I think there's a certain level of humility that I was taught to always have, and I'm comfortable in that space. So I will sing background for you. I can play the tambourine. I can rap the chords. I can set up the mics. I can go sing lead. I can pack the car. I'll drive the van to the gig. It's like, it's just not some.
You're a working musician.
Yeah, it's just not pretentious. Like, oh, I'm a star, and I got to be in the front, and everybody look at me. It's like, it's not about that. I'm a vessel. I was put here for a certain reason, for a certain time, to say certain things and to make people feel hopefully better than they felt before I met them. I want to uplift them, and I'm just really now learning that even more. I'm really getting it. I'm finding it more, if that makes sense. If I'm making sense, as over the last, I want to say like 3 to 4 years, and especially over the last 2, there's a shift, and I'm becoming more comfortable speaking my truth, telling my truth, being exactly who I am, and being fearless with what I want to do and what I want to say, how I want to be, how I want to look, places I want to go. It's just that freedom, and I'm like, so it's gonna be. We'll have some good times coming up. So get ready, get ready.
It's beautiful to witness somebody who's so full of life and optimism and joy, and is so talented. And
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't want to keep you all day, especially because I know that we probably don't want you to be
I gotta
talking.
sing tonight. Exactly.
So really, you rattled off a couple years. You're going, what am I going to be doing in 2019, 2020? You seem completely in the moment, but completely aware that you're on a good trajectory.
Yeah.
So if you could, where's Shelby J headed?
I'm gonna be like water, like Prince told me. He was like, be like water. you know, and trust yourself and keep growing and learning. And I'm gonna keep writing music. I'm gonna write music with different people. I'm working on a project right now with Charlie Hunter and Carter McLean.
Charlie Hunter, the guitar.
Yeah, we
eight-stringing?
recorded. Yeah, we recorded. We locked ourselves away up in a cabin in Connecticut for a week and just recorded everything. We ate together, had wine together. I mean, we were just creating like Rush up in the, you know, like we're just gonna get here. We're just gonna just play and create as we go, and we got a lot of good stuff. I mean, a lot of good stuff. So that's gonna be a project that's gonna be coming out. So I'm excited about that. I want to collaborate more with my sisters in the MPG. I just did a thing with Ida and Liv, Disco Dislocation.
that song was
funky.
Yep.
So funky. So I want to continue to let spirit guide me to know where I'm supposed to be. And when somebody calls me like, Shelby, you know, do you want to get in on this? And I'm like, I listen. I'm like, yeah, I feel this. You know, I want to do it. Like Prince, like there are no rules.
Right.
There are no rules. So do what you feel like and trust that. Trust that. And when you feel like, I don't need to do that, trust that too.
Yep.
You know, trust that too. So I'm going to trust that voice, and I'm just going to keep on being like water.
We're going to keep on drinking. This is wonderful.